Everyone wants to get ahead financially, but sometimes it can be hard to know what to do. This is especially true if you're deciding between paying down debt or saving for the future. Even though there's no one-size-fits-all answer, there are some simple questions you can ask yourself to help determine where to focus your dollars. In this video, we'll examine the following questions. What kind of debt do I have? What's the interest rate? And how long will it take me to pay it off? What are my savings alternatives? What's my budget? And does it really make a difference if I pay off my debt or save more as long as I'm using the same budget? When formulating your payoff or saving strategy, it's important to evaluate the kinds of debt you're carrying, the interest rates, and the amount of time it will take you to pay it off. Generally, you want to focus on paying down debt with a higher interest rate first. For example, if you have a credit card with 15% interest, a car loan with 7% interest, and a mortgage with 4% interest, you will be saving yourself 8% interest if you make extra payments towards the credit card versus the car, or 11% interest if you make extra payments on the credit card versus your mortgage. While this is pretty straightforward, things can get a little more complicated when you throw savings into the mix. After reviewing the debt you're carrying, you'll want to consider your savings alternatives. You could be looking at a savings account, which do not carry any default risk, but also typically do not earn much, if any, interest. You might consider investing in the market, which comes with varying degrees of loss or risk, and varying degrees of interest or gains. You could be looking into real estate investments or alternative investments. In any of these cases, you'll want to make sure you consider the level of risk, expected return, tax implication, and in the case of company-sponsored retirement savings plans, the potential of receiving matching funds just for saving into your retirement account. Knowing your budget is another critical step in determining your ideal paydown and saving strategy. But when we say knowing your budget, we don't simply mean looking at what you have left over at the end of the month. We're talking about taking the time to examine your spending habits and setting aside a consistent amount of monthly income to go towards your paydown and savings goals. Remember, the longer you take to pay down your debt, the more money you pay to the bank in interest. Similarly, the longer you take to start saving, the more money you miss out on than any potential interest paid to you. So, does it even matter if you pay down your debt or increase your savings first, just as long as you're doing one or the other? To answer that, let's put together everything we've learned and look at a few examples. Meet John. John owes $5,000 on his credit card with an interest rate of 25%. If he continues paying $146.76 per month, it will take him 5 full years to pay off the card, costing him a whopping $3,805 in interest for a total of $8,805 paid to the bank for the original $5,000 he charged to his card. John is considering making extra payments of $300 a month or saving an additional $300 a month. What should he do? Let's compare his options. If John pays off his debt faster, he will be saving 25% in interest. This means that John would pay off his card in 1 year and 1 month and would save over $3,000 in interest. If John saves the $300 a month into a savings account earning 0% interest, he would have saved $18,000 by the end of the 5 years. But if John pays off his credit card in 13 months, then takes the monthly payment of $146.76 and adds it to the extra $300 a month for a total of $446.76, and saves that for 4 years, he would have just over $20,000 in his savings account. Clearly, John needs to focus on paying off his debt first in this example. But what if John is offered a company match in his 401k at work? How would this impact his decision? In this scenario, John could get a full match on his $300 a month. This means that once you include the company match, $600 a month is being deposited into his 401k when he makes a $300 contribution. Assuming a 6% rate of return, John could have over $41,000 in his 401k at the end of the 5 years by the time he finally has his credit card paid off. What about if John pays off the card in 13 months, then invests the $446.76 plus the company match of $300 for a total monthly investment of $746.76 per month for 4 years? Using the same 6% rate of return, John would have only $39,454 in his account by the end of the 5 years. The difference comes from the loss in the company match in the first 13 months and not receiving a match on any of the savings over $300 a month. With no way to make up for that great of a loss, he's left with less in his account at the end of 5 years. In this case, John should consider saving enough into his 401k to still receive the company match while he's paying down his debt. Now let's meet Mary. Mary has a 30-year mortgage at 4% and is paying $763 a month in principal and interest. This does not include her escrow or taxes. She is considering paying an extra $300 a month on her mortgage or saving the extra $300 a month. As we already learned, if Mary is offered matching funds, then saving the extra $300 to get the free match will most likely be the best decision for her. Now let's go through some scenarios that do not involve a match and see how things would play out for her if she saves or prepays her mortgage. If Mary continues to pay $763.86 each month towards her mortgage, she will pay back a total of $274,988 over 30 years on the original $160,000 she borrowed. If she adds an extra $300 a month and pays $1,063.86 per month, she will pay back a total of $222,435 over 17 and a half years on the original $160,000. This equates to $52,552 in interest savings and pays the loan off 12 and a half years earlier. Now let's assume that Mary can take her full payment and put it towards her retirement goals. We will assume she is saving in a non-taxable retirement account and receives 6% interest. She will be starting with zero in her account at year 17 and a half, but saves the full $1,063.86 per month for 12 and a half years. This will give her a balance of $236,825 at the end of the 30 years. Let's go back. What if Mary saves the difference from the start instead of paying down her mortgage faster? In this case, she would save $300 a month for 30 years and would end up with $301,354 in her retirement account at the end of the 30 years. But what if Mary had a higher interest rate on her mortgage or earned less on her investments? That's where the risk and return trade-off come into play. There comes a point when you need to focus on paying down debt above all else. But there also can be times when you can use leverage to your advantage. In general, the higher your interest rates, the more you need to focus on paying down your debt, usually starting with the highest rate and working your way down from there. If you have a company match and a low interest rate, you may want to consider saving the difference, but remember, if you decide to invest the funds, you're not guaranteed a return or even to get your money back. It's best to speak with your financial advisor and work out a plan based on your specific goals and needs. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more from the Definitive channel for financial education, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We'd love to hear your ideas on topics you'd like to see covered. As always, thanks for watching.